Okay, yesterday we had quoted a pasuk in Asati lahem bebeisi b'choymaisai. I'll give you my house and my walls. Yad v'shem, toy mi banum libanais. And we spoke out the Toras Chaim. That's Yad being this world, Shem being the next world. Now the pasuk concludes. It says, Shem olam etein loy, a name I'll give to him. Asher lo yikare, said it will not be what? It will not be cut off. So that's where we're up to. So the Gemara is bringing this in to conclude the pasuk. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines up from the bottom of Tzadik Gimel Amid Beis. 8 lines up from the bottom of Tzadik Gimel Amid Beis. So the pasuk says, "My shem olam etein lo yasher lo yikares." What does that mean? So I'm Rav Tanchem Dorish bar Kapara b'Tzipuri, bar Kapara Darshan in Tzipuri. Says Sefer Daniel shenikra al Shemai. So I'm etein loy. I'll give you a name that won't be what Yikaris cut off. That there's a sefer named after Daniel, and therefore by a name being named after you, it's forever. As a matter of fact, I just remembered that says by the Megillah, it says it'll be a zeicha doris. It'll always be forever. Rabbi Bramsky learned Ayadei Baruch Sefer Masechta Megillah. The fact that it's Masechta Megillah, so therefore Esther is always going to be learned again and again and again. If you think about it, Megillah Esther is always learned. So it's similar to over here. The same thing that a shame meaning it won't be cut off, won't be forgotten. It'll continue on. So that's exactly what happened with Esther as well with the Megillah. Now, Fred the Gemara Michti Kol Mili de Ezra. Everything that is in the Sefer Ezra, Nehemiah ben Chachalya Amrinu. It was written by Nehemiah ben Chachalya. So Nehemiah ben Chachalya, we might remember, was the governor of from Persia of Klal Yisrael. B'shas they rebuilt the Beis Hamikdash. Ezra came up. Nehemiah helped go ahead and detail and took care of things. He was I remember he was the wine steward for Daryavish. He would have to taste the wine beforehand to make sure that wasn't poison. Gemara in Rosh Hashanah. So this is Nehemiah. So says the Gemara, why in the world, if Ezra, most of the things there was written by Nehemiah, right? They were said by Nehemiah, my time aloi ikri sifra al shmei. Why isn't it called after him? Why don't we have a book named after Nehemiah? Some of Yirmiyah bar Rabba, because he took credit for himself. Shenemar zachruli remember me, my God, for good. In other words, he went when he went back. Nehemiah, they were having tsaros rebuilding the Beis Hamikdash, the logistics. Daryavish was the son of Esther, gave them permission to go ahead and rebuild, and they were having logistical problems. So they called Nehemiah, and Nehemiah took credit for what he did. So like Mida Keneged Mida, since you took credit for what you did, there's no sefer named after him. Now, Fred the Gemara, David Nami Meima Omar Zachrini Hashem B'Ratzon Amecha Pakdeini B'Shuasecha. Think of me, so remember me. So David also said it. It says, "My David Rachmi Hu Dekavi." David was davening. David was davening. So it's very interesting, fellas. In fact, you do have a sefer in Nehemiah. If you go look at your Nevi'im, there's a sefer in Nehemiah. So what does it mean? There's no sefer. So this is a very important. This I always was bothered by this. This is I think it's in Sukkah, guys. I gave you the daf. Look, it's Sukkah daf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Good. In Sukkah daf Yud Beis Amud Aleph, they bring a pasuk Tzuhar. Rashi says about this pasuk Tzuhar, Hu Sefer Ezra. It's in the Sefer of Ezra. Lasei Sukkos. Now, guys, look at over here. It says Tzuhar. What does it say? It doesn't say Ezra. It says Nehemiah. Guys, look. We see what I'm circling? Here's the pasuk Tzuhar. And what does it say? It says Nehemiah. Yet Rashi says what? It's in Sefer Ezra. Good. Notice there's a little tzion from Rabbi Akiva Eiger. So we go to Rabbi Akiva Eiger. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. There we go. So he says over here, Rabbi Akiva Eiger, so pasuk hu b'sefer Ezra. Pasuk zeh b'Nehemiah. This pasuk's in Nehemiah. V'chein b'Rashi b'chumish devarim lamed beis chafei. You find the same thing. V'dugmasay mitzinu be'Ezra v'atita lehem v'hu b'Nechemya. V'chein b'Beitza daf tesvav amid beis. B'Rashi b'Masul achlu mishmanim v'chein lashon hashas l'kamon daf lamed zayin v'chein be'Ezra. Even though it's in Nechemya. V'zehu api divrei Chazal Sanhedrin daf tzadik gimel amid beis michte kol mili de Ezra Nechemya ben Chachalya amrinu. So guys, be'emes, even b'mei the Rishonim, Rashi, they didn't call it. In other words, only over time that it became called Sefer Nechemya. But originally it was called Sefer Ezra. And you see, Rashi called it Sefer. It's Geshmakim Amarmokim, guys. You see, Rashi called it Shem Ezra. That's what he called it. And even though it's a pasuk in Nechemya, so Nechemya is pretty much a pretty new thing, because you see from the Gemara over here that in fact what it was not called Sefer Nechemya. It did not have a Sefer. Very very Geshmak. Says the Gemara Vayta. Rabbi Yosef, another reason that what Nechemya was punished, he spoke in a negative way about the previous generation of governors. Shnemar, the earlier governors, they made it hard on the people. He even spoke about Daniel, who was before him as a governor. How do you know that Daniel was greater than Nechemya? Daniel levadi as Samara. I alone, Nechemya, Daniel saw the Mara Nevuah. And the men who were with me didn't see it. Now, obviously, the men who were with him must have been Nevi'im, because if they weren't Nevi'im, of course they're not going to see. Guys, in other words, here he's saying, I was with other Nevi'im, but I was the only one who saw the Nevuah. If they weren't a Nevi'im, of course they didn't see the Nevuah. The fact that he mentioned that they saw it and he saw it and they didn't, obviously they had the Yichalias to see in other places, right? So he must have been Nevi'im. It's a nice diuk. They chat that sitta. They went ahead and they were shaking. And they ran. They hid. In other words, they felt something about this nevuah. Who were these people who sitted? Rav Yirmiyah, these are the Novim, the Nevi'im, the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah. We know this as Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi. So these people, Daniel saw, and they didn't. Now, Gemara continues, Amud Aleph. Inu adif mine Zechariah, Malachi, and Chagai, they were also greater than Daniel. They were greater than Daniel. Right? Rashi says, Agai, I did the Gerora Ba'alma Kutani Hacha. This is Agav. Umilsababi Nafshehu. Roy swear because they don't even write this. But anyway, and he was bigger than them. Okay, so they were greater than him. Now, inu adif minay, why? The inu nevi'e v'yeloi navi. They were nevi'im and Daniel wasn't. Are you going to say Daniel just had nevuah, guys? He saw something, right? When he says nevuah, guys, the Gemara in Megillah tells us when we count the 48 nevi'im, it's only nevuah l'doiris. There were thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of nevi'im, but they didn't have nevuah l'doiris. Daniel was a navi, he didn't have nevuah l'doiris. Mashenkin Chagas Chayim Malachi did. However, the Af he was greater than them. They saw and they didn't see. So where do you see that what they're greater than where do you see the greater than Nechemya? So guys, look at the last Rashi on the previous stuff. Last Rashi on the previous stuff. My niu shahayu imoy chages achayim malachi. They were with Daniel. The kimat shehem loy ra'u, since they didn't see v'hu and he did see alma gadol mehem have. He was greater than them. When you see that he was greater than those three, having a VA, the God will have him in Nechemya ben Chachalya, that Daniel was greater than Nechemya. The lay Havi Navi, because Nechemya wasn't a Navi at all. Right? The Torah says that Nechemya spoke in a negative way, even about Daniel. Daniel that Nitnil was from Mordechai when they took Yechoniah to Gullus with the Chorish with Kotza. The Chorish, these are the greatest people in Klal Yisrael. They took Nebuchadnezzar took them before the Korban. They made Yechoniah. That's called the Chorish v'Hamaskir. That when they opened up the mouth, other people will Chareshim, and the Maskir, they closed their mouths. These were the greatest Talmidei Chachamim. So other people will Charoshim and Maskir, Lashon of Soga, they closed up the people's mouth. So Daniel was from these people. Nechemya having Oili HaGoyla, Zaman Meruba La'achamikan. So obviously Nechemya was much less. He was 100 years after this, guys. Again, they were in Gullus for 70 years. This was taken to Gullus 11 years before. And so so in other words, he was much later. So obviously that if Daniel was greater than Chagas Chaim Malachi and they were greater than Nehemiah, so Daniel was greater than Nehemiah. And so he spoke negatively about Daniel, who was greater than him, and thus he did not have a sefer named after him. Says the Gemara, my time since Chagai Chaim Malachi didn't see anything, why were they tsittering? Why were they shaking? Says the Gemara, and for the Gemara, Afa Gav the Inulay Chazi Midi, even though they didn't see anything, Mazlayu Chazi, their mazel did. The mazel did. A person has a mazel, it's a malach that what Rashi in the beginning of Baba Kama on the base, right? The person has a mazel. Person has a mazel. So sometimes a person can feel something, and you don't know why you're feeling something, and obviously they felt something special and they didn't feel it, and they didn't see it. Amravina, Shmamina, Haiman the Mavis, a person that doesn't know why he's scared. Alpha Gav the right? Even though he didn't see, but his mazel did see. Maitakante. If you, in other words, if you're feeling something, what's takana? So linshuf miduchte arba gamide. You should jump up 4 amis out of your place, because the fear is in that place. If you jump out of the place, you won't have the fear. Inami likri kriyashma learn kriyashma. Because the welcome to new place. If you go ahead and you're in a place that's dirty, you can't say kriyashma. Leimahachi isa de beitabacha, a goat that's going to the slaughterhouse. Shmini minoy is fatter than I am. The Gemara in Brachas has the same thing, but it says you do both. It says the Gemara. Since we spoke about kapara, right now we're shifting from Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah. We're shifting from them to Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda. This blot, the next spot. The allusion to is Chizkiyahu was an unbelievably great tzaddik. His father Achaz was a Rosh Marusha. His son Menashe was a Rosh Marusha. Chizkiyahu was such an unbelievable tzaddik. We're going to see Midon by Betsheva. Even the little kiddies knew Tyrus. It was amazing how he got rid of the Avodah Zarah. He reinstated learning. It was unbelievable. The Gemara says he could have been Mashiach. Chizkiyahu. He was so great. During his time, the Malchus had been split earlier, and during his time, Sanhedrin came up, and he put into Gullus the 10 Shvatim that were in the north. That left the Shvatim of Yehuda, Binyamin, and of course Shevet Levi. Right? That was in what's called Judea. He was the king of Yehuda. So Chizkiyahu was the king of Yehuda. The Maisa that happens is there's a siege. Sanhedrin sieges the city of Yerushalayim, and that Rav Shaka, if you remember, we had earlier Daf Samich, Rav Shaka went out to go ahead and cut a deal, and then the wall went down behind him. He left, no one was following him. We spoke of that then. According to Pashit Pshat, a Malach came out and killed 185,000 soldiers in one night. No civilians, no civilian casualties. 185,000 soldiers in one night. And we see it might even be more than that. It's mind-boggling what happened. They go out the next day and there was a siege, so there was a hunger, that they find unbelievable amount of abundance from the soldiers that were there. So this is the story of Chizkiyahu. And it's brought down in 2 places, in Ishaya and Malachim. And the Gemara will flip between the Pesukim here and there. Again, Pesukim are difficult, and so we'll just get the basic story. Says the Gemara. L'marbe hamishra u'l'shalom en kates. So the pasuk says, L'marbe shalom. It says that what Hashem increases His shalom, and there'll be no peace, and there'll be peace without end. As I state. Now, if you look, guys, I don't know if you don't have Yeshaya, if you have a psukim and your Gemara, look at the side in the Torah R. Because the word marbe is written madna. It's written with an end of mem, guys. It's written with li marbe. Now marbe should have a mem pesuach, a mem that's open. A mem end, what we call an end of mem is sogur. It's totally closed. So the word marbe is written with an end of mem. So one wants to know. Amr of Tanchim, Darish Bakapara B'tzipure. Again, what's the connection? The last Gemara also was Darish Bakapara B'tzipure. Often the Gemara brings in the statements of various Tanaim Amroyim. Darish Bakapara B'tzipure. Ma kol mem shebe emsa teva psuach. Every time the letter mem is in the beginning of a word, the middle of the word, it's open. V'zeh, and this that appears at the beginning of the word in the Marbe is sasam. So Bikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lasos Chizkiyahu Mashiach, as I just told you. Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make Chizkiyahu Mashiach. That's how great he was. He wanted to make him Mashiach. V'Sancheriv Gog uMagog. And the battle against Sanhedrin would be the battle of Gog and Magog, which will precede the coming of Mashiach. Because again, there's Gog is the general of the nation Magog. So Amra Midas Hadin L'fnei Hakadosh Baruch Hu. So Midas Hadin said in front of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shalaylam, Uma David Melech Yisrael, Sha'ama Kama Shiras V'Sishbachas L'fanecha, Le'Yasisu Mashiach. David, who lauded you and spoke such a multitude of songs, you didn't go ahead and make Mashiach. Mashiach did not come. Chizkiyahu Sha'asisu Le'Kol Anisim Alalu. You did all these nisim for him. For Chizkiyahu, as we're gonna see, right? Amashir L'fanecha, and V'lo Amashir L'fanecha. He didn't say shir in front of you. Tasei Mashiach, you should make a Mashiach. Doesn't make a lot of sense. L'kach nistatem. And therefore, the letter mem was closed up. Let's see Rashi here, guys. With the first little thin line, mem shebetevas lemarbe hamashre sasum lekach nistam loymar nistumu hadvarim she'olu b'machshava. It was closed off the thoughts that came b'machshava loynaseh. So one pshat, why is it closed? So it was olu b'machshava to go ahead and that Chizkiyahu should be Mashiach, and the Midas Hadin says no. So sasum means it's closed off what Hashem wanted to do, right? What Hashem wanted to do. Okay, next, Lishnach Rina, Shebikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Listim Tzuroseim Shal Yisrael. He wanted to stop the tzaris. Shebikesh Lasosim Mashiach. So that's the second pshat. Why is it Sasim? He wanted to close off the tzaris. And what's the third pshat? Umoiri Rebbe Perish, Nistam Piv Shal Chizkiyahu V'Lo Mashira. That the mouth was closed, he didn't say Shira. So Rashi brings three beautiful pshatim and why the mem was Sasim. Either Kadosh Baruch Hu's Machshava was closed off, or the tzaris of Yisrael had a chance to be closed off, or that the piv of Chizkiyahu was closed off, he didn't say Shiva. Miyad Pasko Aretz V'Milfanov. At that point in time, the Aretz, it said Shira. Rebbeinu Shalaylam. Ani Omeres Lefanecha Shira Tachas Tzadik Zeh. I'll say Shira instead of this person. V'asei lo Mashiach, make him Mashiach. In other words, if what's stopping is that there's no Shira being said, if this person's great enough and he didn't say Shira, I'll say Shira. Right. Says the Gemara, Paskal v'amar Shira lefanav. So the earth began saying Shira. Shnemar miknafo aretz zemirois. From the edge of the earth comes song. Shamanu zmir shamanu tzvi l'tzadik. Right. So do the wishing of the tzaddik. And the pasuk concludes. Okay, because we're going to the pasuk concludes. The Raza and Tachas Kvoidoi, right? I guess no, that's not the pasuk. I don't know. I don't have the pasuk over here, but the pasuk speaks about what Raza that it should be what it's his secret should be left out. Razi Lee. It says Razi Lee. Okay, we'll see Bez Hashem. Anyway, so therefore the world is saying Shira Tachas that. Rebbeinu Shalom Tzivyoinei Asil Tzadik Zeh, right? Amas Sara Olam Lefanov says the Sara Olam Metat L'Chayra. Rebbeinu Shalom Tzivyoinei Asil Tzadik Zeh. Go ahead and answer the wishes of Tzidkiyahu. Yatsa Baskal Bama Razali. It's my secret. It's my secret that I won't make him Mashiach. It's my secret that I won't make him Mashiach. Now, this is a little reach, but it's answering a question of the Torah Chaim. It's a long Torah Chaim over here. He asked the question. Says the following. Torah Chaim. Tema. V'chiyachol adam loyma lechaveiroi al tikra es shema v'al tispalel ani ekra espalel tachtecha. You don't say Shema, you don't go ahead and daven, and I'll do it in your place. In Kain Hachanami, Kivan shal Chizkiyahu hayamutaloi mashira ki pascha aretz v'amashira tachtav my mahanile. Why would the shira of the earth be able to take the place of what? Of Chizkiyahu. It's a geschmacka kasha, guys. It's a geschmacka kasha that you can't. If you, I can't say Shema for you, I can't daven for you. So if Chizkiyahu is supposed to sing Shira to Hashem, how could the earth say, "Listen, he didn't say it, I'll say it"? L'chayra, it's up to Chizkiyahu to say it, right? So I think this is my reach, guys. In Sefer Yeshua, it says Oz Yidaber Yeshua. Yeshua speaks to the Son, right? And what does he tell the Son? You stop, right? You stop, and I'll say Shira. Oz, the lesson of Oz, that Yeshua said Shira. Says the Medrash, Yeshua tells the Son to stop. Now, everything by fulfilling its purpose of creation is singing Shira to Hashem. Everything by doing its purpose of creation is singing Shira like Kadosh Baruch Hu created for that purpose. The sun was created to give light to the world. It was created to shine. Says Yeshua to the Son, stop. So he says, stop. He goes, I can't stop, right? Does an old, right? I was created before you. I was created day 4. You were created day 6. I don't have to listen to you. I'm older than you. Says Yeshua to the Son, does not an old servant have to listen to a young master? After all, it says by Avraham Avinu, Koine Shemayim Haaretz. Yeshua tells the Son, that's not going to be a winning argument. You're older than me, but the bist mein Knecht. You're my Eved, right? You're my Eved, right? You're my Eved. So says the Son, I have to sing Shira. If I don't, who's going to? Amar Yeshua the Son, Shemesh begivain doim. You remain silent. Lashon doim, guys. Doim, be silent. Don't say Shira, and I'll say Shira. And so use the Medrash, guys. That's the Medrash. So I think it's a beautiful pshat over here. What's his kasha? Tefillah is one thing. Kriya Shema is another thing. But Shira is recognizing Hashem's presence in the world. Says the earth, listen, Chizkiyahu is who he is. The fact that it doesn't say Shira, I can replace that. It's not a tefillah. It's not Shema. It's a recognition of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, of what the purpose of creation. You were created, I can go ahead and replace that. Yeshua replaced the sun, the earth can replace Chizkiyahu. That might be an answer to the kasha of the Taras Chaim. I just thought of it this morning, so, it might be an answer. The sun, you say Shira, right? Saying Shira is not the same as Kriya Shema. It's not the same as Tefillah. It's going ahead like Yeshua went ahead and told the sun to stop, and I'll say Shira. The earth says Chizkiyahu didn't say Shira. I'll say Shira. In other words, he's been mocking the Shira that should have been said by Chizkiyahu. That perhaps is the pshat. Okay. Now the second half of the pasuk, Amar Navi, Oili ad Masai. Yotze Baskal v'Amra, Boigdim Bogdu, Beged Boigdim Bogdu. Basically, lashon of rebelling. V'Amar Rav Avitema Rabbi Yitzchak, Ad the Asi Bazazu, Mashiach won't come until the people who Mavat Bazli, the people who despoil Klal Yisrael, who buzz them. In other words, it's not. You need people to come along and rip off the Jews again and again and again until Mashiach comes. The pasuk in Yeshai, another pasuk. Misham Duma Elai Koire Miseya. Right? The Misham Duma, we'll see who Duma is in a second. One calls to me from Seya. Shomer, ma milaila, Shomer, ma milel. Shomer, a watchman. Ma milaila, Shomer, ma milel. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Oisei Malach HaMamuna ala Ruchais Duma Shemai. The Malach who's in charge of the Beloy Koyar Duma guys. Duma is in charge of the. He's in charge of the dead people. Duma is in charge of the dead people. And that's what Beloy Koyar de Duma. So Duma is in charge of dead people. So the Skapsu Kol Ruchais Eitzel Duma. All the Ruchais are going to come to Duma. And Amrullah, and they said to him, Shoyme Mamilaila, Shoyme Mamilaila. What? Meaning, when is the Gullus going to end? When is the Gullus going to end? And the time Mashiach will become. So Amar Shoymer Asaboiker Vigam Laila. Right? The watchman says the morning comes and then the night comes. Right? So meaning we're not ready for it yet. Im tevoyin bayu. If you want, go ahead, ask for Hashem's Rahmanis, Shuvu Esav, and do tshuva, and maybe that can bring what? That can be Mashiach. So the bottom line is, guys, that Chizkiyahu could be Mashiach, and for Hashem's purpose, he didn't bring it. Chizkiyahu he's not Bar Kochba. He was real Roy Levi Mashiach, right? Hastis, guys, that Chizkiyahu could sniff and say what? He could smell and judge. Like we said yesterday, right? Mashiach can smell and judge. Hastis Chizkiyahu passed that proba. He passed that test. He was able to do that. Tanamishum Rafa Payas, Genaihu de Chizkiyahu v'siyata Shlei Amru Shira. It's taka genai that they take it in praise of Kodesh Baruch Hu at shepaslu Oretz v'Mashira till the earth did. Shenemar b'knaf Oretz Samir Shamanu Tzvi l'Tzadek. Kiyotze b'dabat ha'Omer. Avayam Yisroi Baruch Hashem Asher Hitzel Eschem. Blessed the Kodesh Baruch Hu saved you from Mitzrayim. Tanamishum Rafa Payas. Genaihu leMoshe v'Shishim Biba Shalom Baruch. It's Genai to Moshe and the 600,000 Jews above the age of 20 who they take it and say Baruch. At Sheba Yisrach V'Amar Baruch Hashem. Till Yisro came along and said Baruch Hashem. It says Vayichad Yisro. Yisro was Vayichad. He was happy. Rabbi Shmuel. It's a funny lashon. Vayichad. It says the Gemara. Rabbi Shmuel. Rav Shehever Cherev Chada Al B'Saroi. The lashon of Vayichad is the lashon of Chad, means sharp. That means that Rashi says that he went and had a bris milah. That he took a knife and passed it over him. He did a bris milah. Shmuel Amar Shenasa Chadudim called B'Saroi. When he found out what happened to Egypt, to the Mitzrayim, then he got goosebumps. He got goosebumps. His skin, became all chadudim. So you see that even though Yisro was according to most people, he's Megayer, nonetheless it hurt him to hear what happened to the Mitzrayim. So Rav Hainu Dami Inchi, that's what people say. Ki Yura Arasora Dori, a ger until 10 generations. Don't go ahead and insult in front of him, because again, he still has a feeling for his old lifestyle, or people who live that lifestyle. Kadosh Baruch Hu, he'll go ahead and he'll send thin to his fat ones. B'mishmanov rozain. Rozain means thin. B'mishmanov to the guys who are zaftig. My b'mishmanov rozain. What does it mean? He's going to send thin to fat. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yob Chizkiyahu Sheish Shmoina Shemos. That Chizkiyahu had 8 names. Kam b'porei misancherev Sheish Shmoina Shemos. From Sanhedrin who had 8 names, as we're going to see now. We are the 8 names. Chizkiyahu Dechsiv Ki Yeled Yulad Lanu Ben Nitein Lanu. A child's born, a son's given to us. Vatihi HaMishra al Shechmai, and the Shechina is on him. V'yikor Shemai, Pelitz Yaitz. These are 8 words, guys. Pelitz Yaitz is 2. Kel Gibor is 4. Avi Eid is 6. And Sar Shalom is 8. So even though they teach together, that's 8. The Gemara, 1 second. Avik Chizkiyahu. His main name is Chizkiyahu. What do you mean he had 8 names? There's 9 names. He says, well, no. Shechizkuka means that Kodesh Baruch Hu strengthened him. That wasn't real his name. Right? He only had 8 names, but Chizkiyahu was the name of Kodesh Baruch Hu called him. Davar Acher, Chizkiyahu Shechizek Es Yisrael Avin Sheb'Shemayim. He was Mechazek Klal Yisrael to go ahead and follow Kodesh Baruch Hu. Sanhedrin Dechsev Bey. Here's what his 8 names are: Tigles Pileser, Pileser, Shalmaneser, Pul, Sargoin, Asnapi Rabba, Vayakira. So Asnapi Rabba, he was great Vayakira, and he was held in very big chashivas. Frag Gemara Vikas Sancheriv, you have named Sancheriv. Says the Gemara Sichomoy Riv. That's his name is that what? That Sichomoy Riv, that his words ones of what? Of fighting. Davar Achesh, Shesach V'niche Devarim Klapi Maila. He went ahead and he spoke in a negative way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amrav Yechanan. Why did he get these things that he's called Asnapia, but the great and the chashiv? Because he didn't speak negatively about Eretz Yisrael. Shneimar ad boi v'lakachti eschem el eretz ka'artzchem. Come, he tells Klal Yisrael, come and I'll take you to a land that's like your land. Rabbi Shmuel, commenting on this words of Sancheriv, that I'll take you to a land that's like your land. Chanam HaMelech Pikei Chaya was a very smart guy. V'Chanam HaMelech Tipashaya was a fool. Laman Yam HaMelech Pikei Chaya. Yeah, I mean, if I'll tell them what Adif Merayu, I'll tell you take you a land that's Adif Merayu, that's better than your land. Amru Kamashakra. He's a liar. So therefore he didn't say that. And therefore he was smart by saying it's only equal to your land. If he's a fool, you tell a person, I'm going to take you from a land that's the same as yours. So where's the carrot? Guys, where's the carrot? I'm taking you land that's equal to you. Bishlam, I take you land that's better to you, right? Eretz Zok, with the Vash, it makes sense to go there. But a land that's equal to you, so what are you saying? Okay, now we saw Sanhedrin did not conquer Yerushalayim, but he was successful that he did go ahead and put into Gullus the Asar Shvatim, the 10 Shvatim. Big question: where did he go ahead and put the Asar Shvatim? Where did he go ahead and send them? Masuchu Amar Africa, he sent them to Africa. That they went to Africa. Reb Chanina Amar Lahare Salug, went to a Hare Salug. He went to a place, Lahare Salug. Again, I don't know where that is, but that's okay. So the Gemara said that why was Sanhedrin Zeicha to be called Rabba Yakirei is because he spoke positively about Eretz Yisrael. What was the problem of the Asar Shvatim? They spoke negatively about Eretz Yisrael. Aval Yisrael Sipru Begenusa Shel Eretz Yisrael. This 10 Shvatim, they spoke derogatory about Eretz Yisrael. Kimatu Sais, as they were going into exile, they were going into Golis, and they came to a place called Sais. Omru Shavya Ki Arin. They said this place Sais is mamish what like Shavyon. It's equal to our land. As they kept on going, Kimatu Olmin. They came to a place called Olmin, right? Omru Ka'olmin. This is what is like our land, like Olmin, our world. It's like Eretz Yisrael. Kimatu Sais Trey. When they came to the place called Sais Trey, Omra Achat Harin. It's twice as good. So they spoke negatively about Eretz Yisrael. It says V'sachas Kvoidai. The end of the pasuk V'sachas Kvoidai Yekad Yokoid Kikoid Eish, right? And underneath his covet there'll be a fire. Rabbi Yochanan Tachas Kvoidai. What is it speaking about? It's speaking about the men of the soldiers of Sanhedrin that they died, right? That we said the kvoida of a person was what, guys? We said yesterday, is his clothing. It's his clothing. So tachas kvoida, you know what happened to this 185,000? No bodies. They were all burnt. You just had clothing. That was left. And then for like kvoida mamish, it doesn't mean that what ki had Rabbi Yochanan korile lemone mechvoidaisai. So that's so. The body was burnt, but not the kvoidai, not the. Rabbi Yochanan used to say, a person can answer this question. I'll go ahead and fold up the clothing and take it back to the bathhouse. Clothing is choshev. Rabbi Lozo Amino tachas kvoidai mamish. It meant what underneath his clothing, but his body not. Because streifus b'nei arayin, mala halon streifus neshama v'guf kayim avkan streifus neshama v'guf kayim. Smachloikis whether the bodies were intact or not. According to the first, not according to the second. Yes. Tana mishmei Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. Paro Shecherif Batzmai, Paro, who was Mecharif for Kodesh Baruch Hu, cursed the Kodesh Baruch Hu directly, Nifra Kodesh Baruch Hu, Bimeno Batzmai, Kodesh Baruch Hu punished him directly. Sanhedrin Amid Beis, Shecherif Al Yidei Shliach, who went ahead and he would curse the Kodesh Baruch Hu through a Shliach, Nifra Kodesh Baruch Hu, Bimeno Al Yidei Shliach. Paro, what is he? Paro went ahead and cursed Al Yidei by himself. Dichsiv Bei, Mi Hashem Asher Ashma B'Kala, who's Hashem that I should listen to him? Nifra Kodesh Baruch Hu, Bimeno Ba'atzmai, Dichsiv, by Yinar Hashem Mitzrayim b'Torah Chayom, he mamish go ahead of Kodesh Baruch Hu, and he moved Mitzrayim. He pushed them up and down, up and down, up and down in the sea. Uksiv dorachta bayom susecha. So the Kodesh Baruch Hu went ahead and he dorachta, he pushed down, he trampled on the sea with your horses. Sancheriv d'chsiv. What do you see? Sancheriv. It was al yidei shliach. Biyad malachasecha chirafta Hashem. Through your messengers, your malachecha, you went ahead and you were macharif Kodesh Baruch Hu. Therefore, Kodesh Baruch Hu menu al yidei shliach. Kodesh Baruch Hu took retribution from al yidei shliach. Yichsiv vayetzi malach Hashem bayach mamachne. He went out and Asher and he killed Meir Shemenu Chamishim Elef 185,000.
Why don't you say shliach adam kimoso?
What?
Why don't you say shliach adam kimoso?
I want to ask you a question. When it says in Mitzrayim that Kodesh Baruch Hu b'chvoido ba'atzma went and took care of Mitzrayim, is that a bigger thing than if you had to send the malach or not?
I would say yes.
So the same thing over here.
Okay.
Same thing over here. In other words, the fact that in other words that you directed Hashem, So again, it's less. Says the Gemara. Rav Chanina bar Papa Rami. He has the stira. Ksiv miroim kitzai. It says, Sanhedrin said, he goes, I'll come to Meroim Kitzai. It's biggest height. I'm going to come to this height, meaning the Beis Hamikdash. Ukasiv Moloin Kitzai. And it says, I'll come to his Moloin. It's mashma, one is high and one is not so high. So Omar, Oyser Rasha says Sanhedrin, B'tchila Achriv Di Rosh Shalmata. First I'll go ahead and I'll destroy the Beis Hamikdash in this world. Yachkach Achriv Di Rosh Shalmata. And then I'll get to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the next world. Whatever that means. How a person can possibly think that. I'm Rishon Levi. My dechsiv ata hambaladei Hashem alise al mokem hazel hashchisai. It says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I come to go ahead this place to destroy it. Hashem Omar Elai ale al aretz hazois vashchisa. He told Sanhedrin, go up and destroy. What did he mean when he told him go destroy? The Shomal and Navi, the Kamar Sanhedrin heard Yeshaya say, Yan ki moas amazeh esmei hashiluach haholchem la'at. Since the people, they rejected the words of the shluach that they flowed gently. Umesoises ritzin, and they take happiness in ritzin. Is a king. Ben Ramalyahu, or Ben Ramalyahu, Pekach Ben Ramalyahu he was at time of Chizkiah, he was the king of Yisrael in the north, right? Rav Yosef, Il Mole Terguma, the High Kra, Lehaviyadana my Kamar. If not for the Targum, this pasuk describing the Ritzin of and Ramalyahu, I wouldn't know what's going on. It's speaking about what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This cryptic pasuk about water, slow, Klal Yisrael rejecting it, shaloyach, and taking pride and happiness and ritzin and Ramalyahu. What's going on over here? So says Rabbi Yosef, without the Targum to explain this, we won't know what's going on. What does Targum say? Chalaf de kotz ama hadein b'malchusa de beis David. The people, the kotz lashon of sheketz, lashon of despising. B'malchusei the Beis David, the Malchus of David, the Midaber Lahoin bin Yoch, Kimei Shiloisa, the Nagdin bin Yoch. This he leads them. David leads them like the river flows gently. He leads them gently. And what do? V'isri'isu b'ritzin u'baramalya. And who do they want? They wanted the Malchus of Ritzin and Ramalya. So this says when they reject the waters of Shiloach, is speaking about they're rejecting the Malchus of Yehuda of David. And they're instead going ahead and picking up on the rishus of Pekach ben Ramalya. He was a Russia. He was the king of the north during the time. Amrav Yochanan, my dechsiv me'eras Hashem bebeis Russia unevei tzadikim yivarech. The curse of Hashem is in the house of Rishayim, but the bracha of Hashem is in the house of the tzadikim. Me'eras Hashem b'shem Russia is Pekach ben Ramalyahu. That refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu cursing the house of Pekach ben Ramalyahu. This Baltaiva, he ate for dessert 40 little birdies. When the Veit Tzadikim Yivarech, Zechizkiah Melch Yehuda, Shahaya Oichel Litra Yorek Besuda, he ate just vegetables, a certain amount of vegetables. Ulchin Hine Adonai Mala Aleim Esmei HaNahar, Hatsumim Varabim Esmelech Asher. So Yeshaya says, because Baruch Hu will bring, right, the mighty waters of the king of Asher, the Sanhedrin. Uksiv v'cholaf b'Yehuda shotaf v'over ad savor yagia. And the pasuk says that this river is going to go through Yehuda, and it's going to overflow until it reaches up to his neck. So this is the nevuah that Sanhedrin took, that he should go ahead and invade Yehuda. Right? This is the nevuah that he said. Elamai time Yonesh, then why was he punished? If he was the nevuah was he supposed to be, why was he punished? Right? They always ask the question, why was Paro punished? For the Bris Ben Abasarim it was stated that what Be'eretz Lohem, V'anuvino Arba Me'ashona, so are they punished? Right? So yes, the Kasha, famous Rambam. Elamai time Yonesh, why was he punished? Navi Aser Shvat in the Snave. The Navi was not speaking about what? About Yehuda. It wasn't speaking about Chizkiyahu. It's speaking about the Malchus of the 10 Shvatim, which were being punished. It wasn't enough for him to get the 10 Shvatim. What did he do? He set his mind to get Yerushalayim as well. But the Navi went ahead and told him, There's no muah for those people who are you oppress. Listen to this pasuk, beautiful guys. Amr Abelazar Brechia. Einim sar amayef b'Torah v'yad mi amatzik lo. Song from Rashi Shapiro. Anyway, Einim sar amayef b'Torah. You won't be given over the nation that's tired from learning Torah v'yad mi amatzik lo into the hands of the nation that will oppress him. You understand? It's beautiful, guys. Einim sar amayef b'Torah v'yad mi amatzik lo. That you won't be given over because you're oyef from Torah. You're oyef from learning from Torah. You won't be given over to the matzik, the oppressor of Sanhedrin. Right? The pasuk continues. Ke'esa rishain heikal arza Zevulon v'arza Naphtali. Okay, that's speaking about the lands of Zevulun and Naphtali. Va'achrein hichbe derech hayam, and the last time it was with the way of the again. Ever hayardein galil hagoyim like rishonim shehekel me'aleim ol Torah. When it says that harishon hekel, guys, you know what hekel means? Those that they were mekel in the Torah, they weren't learning Torah. They were mekel in learning a Torah. Like rishonim shehekel me'aleim ol Torah, right? That's the Asar Shvatim. Aval achroinim shechbidu aleim al Torah. The achroinim Chizkiyahu in his kingdom that they were machbid, they accepted the Torah. They made heavy upon the all of Torah. V'ruin alodu lasas lam nes was right when this should happen to them. Ka'ivri hayom uchidorchi hayarden. Right. Simcha, give me 10 minutes. So when the pasuk said, fellas, Eva Hayarden, Galili Hagoyim, so it's thinking that what? That the guy outside, you're telling me this Orch, they were Kal, and Zvulun and Naphtali. So that's speaking about they were Kal B'Torah. Not the nation that accepts the all of Torah, and then it concludes that with the Yarden, that they're roy for the nisan that took place, like Kriyas Yamsuf and the Yarden, when Yeshua went to Eretz Yisrael, the Yarden went up in Neid Echad, it went B'Nei Echad. So they're roy for that nest, and that's Kachoya. That's what happened with Sanhedrin of 185,000 people. Bruya Lolo Lasas Lehem Nes Ka'oivrei Hayom, like the people who passed through the sea by Kriyas Yamsuf, Uchadarcha Yarden, people went to Eretz Yisrael. Im Chayzeh B'Motiv, if Sanhedrin changes his mind and doesn't go ahead and attack Yerushalayim, that's okay. I'll make him a galul. I'll make him a joke for among the nations. Okay, I'll make a joke among the nations. Okay. So achri advorim va'emes ha'ela. Now here's Chizkiyahu is being saved, guys. Chizkiyahu is ready to be Mashiach. Why did he have to go through this? Why did he have to go through a siege? Why do you have to go through it? In other words, the guy's ready to Mashiach. The Torah was so powerful in his days. But what stopped us? What does he need this for, right? So, Achre Edvar Emes Ha'ele, Bosan Cheir of Melech Ashur, Vayova Yehuda, Vayichan Ala Orim Abetsurais, and he goes ahead and he sieges the fortified cities. Vayomer Lebika Elav, he's going to go ahead what? And Lebikam Boikea, he's going to go ahead and smash them. He's going to go through them. Hai Rishna Lahai Pardashna. Is this the Rishna? Is this the reward for this person Chizkiyahu that he's ready for this? Says the Gemara, Achrei Advarim Emes, Achrei Ma, what words? What are you speaking about? Amravino, Achashet Kofatz HaKodesh Baruch Hu, V'nishba V'am. After Kodesh Baruch Hu went ahead and he swore to bring Sanhedrin to Yerushalayim to go ahead and cause him to be, Kodesh Baruch, there's two Cheshbonis over here. There's Cheshbon of Chizkiyahu and the Cheshbon of Sanhedrin. Hashem swore that he's going to make Sanhedrin a bizoyan, that, with his huge army that conquered the whole world, in one night, boom, he was gone. Mamish, one night he was gone. Right. I'm going to bring Sanhedrin to Yerushalayim, and I'll go ahead and you'll win. I'll give him over to you. Hashta Amar Chizkiyahu will say, Lohu be'ina v'loi b'susa b'inan. I don't need him, and I don't need him. In other words, in the end, it's gonna turn out well. Guess what? Ich darf nicht. I don't need it. Go ahead. Take Hashem. You take care of it. Let me learn Torah. Let me teach Torah. I don't need any of this. That's what he would have said. So miyad kofetz HaKadosh Baruch Hu kaviyachol v'nishba. So what did Hashem do to avoid this? He made a shvuah. Right, the Masin, he's going to bring Sanhedrin to Yerushalayim. Shenemar nishba Hashem tzvakas leima. Hashem tzvakas saw and like kasher the misi kein hasa. just as I thought it's going to happen. And just like I planned, it's gonna suck him. It's gonna come up. Lishbor Ashur ba'artzi val horai avusena. That Ashur will come into my land, into my mountains, and you know what? I'll go ahead. Avusena, I'll trample him. V'sor me'aleim uloi, his yoke will be removed. V'suvloi me'al shich me'yaser. Okay, so and then it says achar dvarim emes. So when the where emes is Sanhedrin coming, doesn't mean that the invasion of Sanhedrin, but it refers to Chizkiyahu's reward. It means that what? The reason why it happened, achar hadvarim emes, guys, after the Shvu of Hashem. After the Shvu of Hashem, that's what it means. Achad Dvarim, the Dibur, guys, the Dibur of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to go ahead that he swore to bring this about. Rabbi Yochanan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yavoi Sancheriv v'siyata, let Sancheriv and the people who follow Sancheriv come. V'yeyasa Avos l'Chizkiyahu l'siyata, and they should come an Avos, literally a trough, to Chizkiyahu and those people who follow him. It says, V'haya b'yom ahu, Yasser suvloi me'al shechmecha. This is Yeshaya says the day is going to come when this yoke is going to be taken off your shoulder. V'uloi me'al tzavarecha, and the oil from your neck. V'chubal oil mefnei shamayim, and the yoke it'll be destroyed because of shaman. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. What does that mean? Choyvel oil shel Sancheriv mefnei shamnei shel Chizkiyahu. The word shaman is loosened to shemen. The oil of Sancheriv is going to be destroyed by the oil of Chizkiyahu. What's the oil of Chizkiyahu? They were so busy learning Torah. We just spoke about guys learning Torah at night. Right? We spoke about how Choshevis learned Torah at night. The shemen burnt the whole night, guys. The shemen of Chizkiyahu, the Torah of Chizkiyahu destroyed Sancheriv. Beautiful Lashon Shamen that refers to the oil that was burning, that they learned Torah Yom V'Layla. My Asa. This is what Chizkiyahu did. He took a sword, stuck it in the opening of the base medrash. Anyone want who's oisip b'Torah should be yitka b'cherev zeh. Just remember the Maisa. Right? Remember a great Maisa. It's a great Maisa. My son Simcha was in Waterbury. He was from the first. He was a bacha, but he was in the base medrash, and they wanted to establish Waterbury. So Chaim Berlin decided they're going to establish Waterbury. So there was no yeshiva yet. It was not a high school. It was a base medrash. And it started, and Simcha was one of the first people there. And he was by personality, he was a very strong personality and a big masmid. So I met a kid, and he said to me, "You're Simcha's father?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I owe my life." This is years later. So what happened? He goes, "I was there, I was doing nothing." And I went over to him. I said, "Simcha, would you learn with me?" So he said, "Okay, on one condition." He goes, "That you sit and listen for a half hour. You don't move." He goes, "And what happens if I do?" He said, "I'm going to come across the table and kill you." So I thought about Yitzchak B'cherev. He took the sword, and guess what? He was so scared of him. He goes, "I'm going to come across the table and kill you." So he took the sword, stuck it in the ground, and that was it. And changed the kid's life. I just thought of it. Like I said to Gemara, Chizkiyahu, we did the same things. I'm going to tell Simcha. I'm going to remind him of the story. I'm going to tell him it's before Gemara. So he said, he stuck it in the ground, and he said, anyone who doesn't learn Torah, that's it. Batkum Yidon Vabat Sheva. Guess in the very famous line. They checked from dawn until Beersheba. Matsu Ama Aretz. They didn't find one Ama Aretz. Can you imagine? You can give your truma to anybody. You're a kohen, you can give your truma to anybody. Demai, guys. There won't be a halacha of demai. The whole area. Think about it. No demai. There's suffix that ma'aser not. No, there were no shaila. Migivat from Givat and Antipirius. I guess the two places in Eretz Yisrael. The two Rashi says the two bordering towns in Yehuda. V'leimatzu tinak v'tinaikes ish v'isha. Didn't find a man, or a kid, or a man, a woman. Shaloi hayu bekiin behilchas tumah v'tayra. Alachas kama v'kama. If they were bekiin and tumah v'tayra, certainly rod in nashim, nezikin, and everything else. Regarding the door of Chizkiyahu, it says, every person is going to have an eglas baka and tzayin. There was 1,000 vines. They're worth 1,000 pieces of silver. L'shama u'l'shayis yiyeh. You know what they're going to be? They're going to be abandoned and full of thorns. Why? Because people are not interested in the value of the nechasim to sell them and cultivate them. They're only interested in the Torah. Right? Afal pi she'elef gefen be'elef kesef l'shama u'l'shayis yiyeh. Okay. It says v'usav shalalchem oisef hachasel. It says that your shalol, your spoils of war, they'll gather together. The oisef hachasel, they'll be like what locusts. The chasels are locusts. Amar lehem navi liyisrael. Isvu shalalchem, gather. Guys, remember, I prefaced the share. There was a siege. They were starving. They went out the next day, and among the camps of the destroyed people, they found a frameg, a mamish of fortune. So that's the shalol, referring here, shalol usually means the spoils of war. We're speaking about the spoils of all those people that were killed, all those soldiers. Amalem navi l'Yisrael, isvu shalalchem, go gather your shalal, your spoils. Amuloi livzais lachloik. Should we do it right to livzais to go ahead and plunder it, or should we go ahead and machalik that? Right. In other words, should we take it personally, or I guess divide it up equally? Amalahem ke'oisef achasel, like what? Just like the locusts. Each locust doesn't share; it goes for themselves. So too the shalol should be the spoils should be each one by themselves. When the Yidden heard this, what Yeshaya said, they said to Yeshaya, how could we take it? Among them is the spoils of the 10 shvatim. What's the kasha, guys? You have years, right? Kimashek gave him shayket bar. Plus it says, right?
Turn it.
So Kamashek gave him shoykek loy, like the roar of the water, so too does the pool's roar. That's what the article teaches it. Ma gave him halolu ma'alim es adam mitumah l'tayra. Just as water that's flowing could go ahead and take a person from tumah l'tayra, right? Sometimes a person needs a mikvah is not enough, right? You need a mayan. Immediately, right? Again, the person's miyayish, guys. So right away, so you don't have to worry about what. You don't have to worry about that. The previous owner was the 10 shvatim, right? And this is kid Rapapa. Then Rapapa, Amanu Moyev Tira B'Sichain. What happened? We're not allowed to, guys. You're not allowed to. Amanu Moyev. It says liskabam. You shouldn't separate with them, right? So what does Hashem do? He made what Sichain take care of them. Oh, once they took care of them, you get Sicha, and then you're able to get what? From Ammon and Moav. Okay, I guess we'll stop over here.